to be honest, spiritual pride is the worst. I've met people that are not into anything spiritual, and they're more spiritual than people that have memorized the Bhagavad Gita left to right. You can smell and feel that spiritual ignorance or spiritual pride. Right? So that's something that we have to be so careful about, because I feel that it's like we made all of this headway. Now we're spiritual. We're reading the Gita. We're doing our practices. But that final test, if you will, is that spiritual pride that can take all of it and manipulate it. I remember when I was in Germany, I was teaching the Bhagavad Gita. And I was in Switzerland, and I would travel back from Switzerland to Germany on the train. And so I gave this talk in Switzerland about the Gita, about being non-attached, about spirituality. And I was like, I finished, I was like, wow, that was great. I'm like, I really spoke about the essence of the Gita. So I get on the train, and they had these huge windows. And the whole time on the train, it's a 5-hour drive, 5-hour trip. And I was thinking, wow, I've really understood the Gita. It's taken me so long, but I finally understood it. And then the train stops, and I look, and there's an old lady. And she's sitting there, and she's like full of like dirt. She's homeless. Her skin is falling off. She has some type of skin cancer. An immediate feeling of disgust. I looked at her, I felt disgust towards her. And I just spoke about how we're all one and love and all of this. Immediately I feel disgust. Next thing in my thoughts, I hope she does not come on the train. The moment I thought that, she gets up, gets on the train. Next thought, I hope she doesn't sit next to me. The moment I thought that, everybody in my booth got up and left, and she came and sat right next to me. And so as I'm sitting next to her, I could smell her. And my immediate reaction was to get up and go sit in another place. I could have done something. I could have helped her. I could have given some water. I could have done something. But that disgust made me leave and go somewhere else. And as this happened, the very next stop, she gets up and leaves. And I get to Germany, and my teacher is there. And he looks at me, he said, it's one thing to speak about the Gita. It's another thing to live the Gita. All of these people, you speak about it, but you haven't really lived it. And later on, he confirmed, he said, that lady that you saw, that was the Divine Mother. She came to test you. And so that story always keeps with me, because it's a remembrance. The Gita has to go through you. It's not about learning something from the mind. That breeds spiritual pride. But when you live it, when it goes through you, that's how you can really help and share and inspire others. And so that's a lifelong journey, to live the Gita rather than speak the Gita.
It's that journey of plucking the weeds from the mind, and those moments where we slip into unconsciousness and regress into judgment in our old ways are inevitable on the path of evolution and growing. But like that's a beautiful example where you have that experience, and then the next time where you catch yourself judging, you view it as an opportunity to bring grace and sattva and those qualities to the table. And then you start to transform. And then the next time you sit on the subway and somebody in that position sits next to you, it's like it's a different. And I'm sure you've experienced this.
And that's happened to me.
Yeah,
that's the exact same thing happened. So I could finish with that if you like.
Yeah.
It's a really beautiful story of what happened. It's a crazy story. So this whole thing happened, right? And it's always been with me. So I come to New York City, and I don't know anything. I know nobody. I have nothing. I only have the thought from my guru: stay focused on what you want. And so one day I'm walking in near Times Square, and it's a homeless man. And this is on the 8th day of Navaratri. So Navaratri is a 9-day celebration of the Divine Mother. So every day we celebrate the Divine Mother in a different form. And so on the 8th day, I'm walking, I'm going somewhere, and there's a homeless man, and he's coming towards me. And he walks past me, and he looks at me, and we immediately make a connection. Our eyes connect. And he looks and he says, "Can I walk with you?" And I said, "Okay, if you want." So we start walking. And at this time, I was a rishi, not a swami. And I said, my name's Rishi. And he said, oh, nice to meet you. And he said his name. We had a conversation. He didn't ask for anything, didn't tell him anything else. And then he says, I have to go. So we get to the crossroads and he goes one way, I go the other. The very next day, the final day of Navaratri, I'm in Brooklyn. So you can imagine New York has millions of people. I'm in a subway station below underground, waiting for something. And as I'm sitting there, far away from where we met, I hear a voice. And it says, hello, Rishi. And I look, and it's that same homeless man that I met the day before in Times Square, now in a lower subway station in Brooklyn. You never meet people twice in New York. So I'm shocked. I'm like, are you stalking me? Like, did you put something in my pocket? How did you find me? And he just smiles, white, right? Not Indian, wouldn't know anything about the tradition. And he points to my red line and he says, the Divine Mother connected us again. Because this is a tilak and it represents the philosophy, and the red line represents the Divine Mother. So he pointed at the red line and says, the Divine Mother connected us again. There's no way he would know that. And I was shocked. And he's like, can I go with you on the subway? I said, okay. So go on the subway. He's with me. And I look at him and he has nothing, a homeless man with nothing. He reaches into his bag. He's like, can I please give you some bread? Can I please give you some peanut butter jelly sandwich or peanut butter jelly? So he was offering me things. And I'm like, no, please, you keep it. And I look at him, he said, what are you doing here? I said, I'm helping people to deepen a deeper relationship with the divine. And he says, how? I said, by helping people through mantra chanting. And I said, he said, which mantra? I said, Om Namo Narayanaya. All of a sudden, he starts yelling Om Namo Narayana. He goes back and forth in the trouble. He says, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya. Then he stops, he looks at me and he says, everything will work for you. Just make sure you live in truth. And in that moment, the subway train stops. And it's the middle of COVID. He gives me a big hug, like for 10 seconds. And he whispers in my ear, he said, may the Divine Mother and all of her children bless you. And he let go. He walked out. I never saw him again. That was 5 years ago.
Wow.
And so that first moment with this old lady helped me to understand, wait a second, don't just throw this off. There's always something deeper that we can learn from different experiences in our life.